They said no maid survived 7 days in the Richards mansion, not because of the work. The marble floors were easy to mop. The rooms were beautiful. The pay was generous. The problem was the woman in the red dress. From the street, the house on Bishop Adi Maid Drive looked like a palace gold chandelier glowing through tall windows, sweeping staircase curling up like a promise. But inside, the staff moved like shadows, listening for one sound: heels. Click, click, click. Whenever those heels echoed, back straightened, mouths shut, hearts raced. Because at the top of those heels was Madame Rose Richards, Billionaire's wife, second madam of the house. As beautiful as she was brutal, she was the kind of woman whose slap landed faster than her words. That was the house Naomi Okafor walked into with nothing but a nylon bag and a battered hope. The gate slid open. The gateman, Musa, stared at her small frame, dark skin, simple dress. "Madam, are you sure you want this job?" he asked. "I don't have a choice, sir," Naomi replied. In the foyer, the housekeeper leaned close, voice low. "This house eats maids for breakfast. Then I will be the one it cannot swallow," Naomi said quietly. In the kitchen, Mama Ronk wiped her hands on her wrapper and shook her head. "My dear, just greet Madam well and avoid her eyes. Respect is easy," Naomi murmured. "Leaving my daughter to die is not." Upstairs, heels clicked. Madame Rose descended like a queen, stepping onto a red carpet, sparkling red gown hugging her body, hair sleek, eyes sharp. Behind her, Chief Femi Richards and 2 guests watched, their faces a mix of curiosity and dread. Rose's gaze swept the foyer and froze. A mop bucket stood near the marble step where she liked to turn and pose. "Who left this filthy bucket in my walkway?" Her voice sliced through the air. Naomi swallowed. "I'm sorry, Ma. I was just about to move it." Rose's lip curled. She walked down, slow, deliberate, each step a warning. The staff held their breath. "Family," Naomi would later say, "before we see what happens next, welcome to our channel. Tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe." Your support turns one moment of courage into a movement. Then the moment shattered. Rose kicked the bucket. Dirty water splashed across Naomi's feet, across the polished floor she had scrubbed before dawn. Gasps rippled through the hall. "It you," Rose hissed, grabbing Naomi's chin. "Dripping water on my marble like a gutter girl." Her hand flashed. Smack. Naomi's head snapped to the side. Pain burned through her cheek. Chief Femi stepped forward, then stopped, his jaw flexing but his feet rooted. The other staff stared, eyes wide, waiting for the usual ending: tears, apology, resignation. Naomi did none of that. She blinked back the sting, straightened slowly, and bent to pick up the fallen mop. "I'll clean it, Ma," she said, voice steady. "All of it." Rose's brows drew together. For a second, something like confusion flickered in her eyes. Then she turned away with a scoff. As Naomi wrung out the mop, her thoughts weren't on the slap or the humiliation. They were on a hospital bed across town, where a little girl with tired eyes was waiting for a miracle. 9 maids had broken before this moment. Naomi would not be the 10th, and to understand why she chose pain over freedom, we have to go back to the day. Doctor's words shattered her world and pushed her straight into the lion's den of Bishop Adi Maid Drive. Before Naomi ever saw the chandelier in the Richards mansion, she knew a different kind of light, the harsh white glare of a hospital ward. 3 weeks earlier, she sat on a cracked plastic chair beside a narrow bed in Lagos General Hospital. Beeping monitors, disinfectant smell, nurses' footsteps. On the bed lay Deborah, 9 years old, chest rising too fast, lips too pale. "Madam Naomi," the doctor said gently, holding a file like bad news in paper form. "Your daughter's heart condition is worsening. We've managed with drugs, but she needs a procedure now." "How much, doctor?" Naomi whispered. He wrote the figure on a scrap of paper and slid it across. Her breath left her. That money could buy land in the village. It could feed a family for years. She barely had enough for the next dose of medication. "Is there any help?" she asked. "NGOs. Maybe," he replied. "But the waiting lists are long. Time is not on our side." When he walked away, Naomi leaned over Deborah, brushing damp curls from her forehead. "Mummy," the girl murmured. Why are you crying? Naomi forced a smile. I'm not crying, my star. I'm thinking. About what? About how God will surprise us. But when Deborah's eyes closed again, Naomi's hands shook. She stepped into the corridor, pulled out her small Nokia phone, and scrolled through messages. Overdue rent. Unpaid cleaning jobs. One new text from her friend Amaka. House help needed. Banana Island. Pay is mad. But the madam is worse. No maid lasts that. Naomi stared at the screen. Banana Island. Rich people. Big houses. Big salaries. Bigger problems. She dialed. Amaka. Send the number. I'll go. Naomi. Are you sure? I heard she. I don't care what she is. Naomi cut in softly. My daughter needs to live. I will endure anybody. 2 days later, Naomi stood in a small office at Richards Holdings, twisting the strap of her handbag while the HR officer skimmed her form. You've worked as cleaner, nanny, cook's assistant, he said. Why do you want this particular job? Because it pays triple anything I've ever had. Because a surgeon doesn't accept tears as deposit. Out loud, she simply answered, I'm hardworking, sir. I don't run from responsibility. He studied her, then nodded. Report to the Richards residence on Bishop Adi Maid Drive. Sharp. Monday. Live in. No children allowed. Her heart pinched at that last part. No children allowed. That night, Naomi sat beside Deborah's bed again. Mommy has to go somewhere for work, she whispered. I might not sleep here every night, but I will be close. The money will help us fix your heart. Will it hurt? Deborah asked. The doctors will handle that part, Naomi said, kissing her hand. Our own job is to be brave. Deborah smiled weakly. We can do that. So when a bucket of dirty water splashed over Naomi's feet and a slap burned her cheek in the mansion foyer, she didn't flinch or resign. Compared to losing her child, Madame Rose's cruelty was just noise. And that was the secret. The Richards household didn't know yet that the quiet new maid had already walked through a fire far hotter than any insult. By Naomi's second day, the mansion already knew her story, even though she hadn't said a word. In the pantry, the steward whispered, she's still hero in this house? The cleaner scoffed. Give her 2 more days. Madame Rose will finish her. Upstairs, Naomi changed bedsheets with careful, practiced hands. Every corner tucked sharp. Every pillow fluffed the same way she'd seen in glossy hotel calendars. Her cheek still throbbed faintly from yesterday's slap, but she folded the pain away like laundry. Naomi. The shout cracked through the hallway. She hurried down the grand staircase. Madame Rose stood in the sitting room in a shimmering red dress, the same fury from the thumbnail image blazing in her eyes. Mr. Femi and 2 guests watched from near the staircase. Did you polish this floor? Rose demanded. Yes, ma. She dragged the tip of her heel across the marble. So why can I see dust in the groove? Do you think this is a public toilet? No, ma. I'll clean it again. Again? Rose scoffed, stepping closer. Are you deaf or just stupid? Naomi kept her gaze lowered. I'll do better, ma. The older woman's hand twitched, remembering yesterday's slap. For a moment everyone tensed, expecting it again. Instead, Rose sneered and flicked the cleaning rag at Naomi's face. Crawl on your knees and polish every inch while I'm standing here. If I see one streak, you're gone. Naomi knelt without a word. The rag burned her palms. Her knees ached against the cold floor as guests pretended not to look and the staff watched openly. Pity in their eyes, relief it wasn't them. Behind Rose, Mr. Femi shifted. Rose, that's enough, he said quietly. She didn't even glance at him. If you want sloppy work, hire sloppy people. I won't live in a pigsty. Naomi's arms shook, but she kept moving small circles, steady breaths. In her mind, she wasn't in a mansion. She was in the hospital corridor again, counting coins, watching Deborah fight for air. Each stroke across the floor was a whispered bargain. One more tile, one more day of medicine, one more chance. Minutes passed. Sweat rolled down her back. Finally, Rose clicked her tongue. Stand up. Naomi rose slowly, legs trembling. Rose's eyes narrowed. Why are you still here? Naomi blinked. Ma. Others cried and ran by now. Are you too foolish to know when you're not wanted? Naomi swallowed. Ma, I'm here to work. As long as you keep me, I'll do my job." Their eyes met for the first time, cruelty testing something it didn't understand. For a heartbeat, Rose looked almost unsettled. "Get out of my sight," she snapped, turning away. Naomi walked back toward the hallway, shoulders straight. "Behind her, Mama," Ron murmured under her breath. Half prayer, half prophecy. This one is different. No one knew it yet, but the first crack had just appeared in Madame Rose's perfect, polished world. Word about Naomi traveled faster than the smell of Mama Ronk's stew. By the end of the week, everybody had an opinion. "This maid no normal," the gardener whispered, trimming hibiscus by the gate. "Madam slap still she day sing not so miracle day start," Musa the gateman replied. Sometimes God sent quiet people to noisy houses. Inside, the house got noisier. Madame Rose did not like what she couldn't control. Naomi's calm felt like an insult she couldn't slap away. So the tests began. The first came on Thursday. Naomi opened her small wardrobe and froze. Her gray and white uniforms were gone. In their place lay a sheer lace nightgown that definitely wasn't hers. The housekeeper appeared at the door, eyes wide. Who put that there?" Naomi only smiled faintly. "Uniform is missing. I'll wear my wrapper today." Minutes later, Rose swept into the sitting room in a fitted emerald dress, heels clicking like a countdown. She spotted Naomi in a faded t-shirt and wrapper, mopping. "What is this beggar costume?" Rose asked, voice dripping sarcasm. "A uniform is missing, Ma," Naomi replied. "I didn't want to be late for work." Rose's lips curved into a cold smile. "You look like the mop you're holding. At least you match something in this house." Snickers rippled through the younger staff. Naomi bowed her head and kept cleaning. Friday, it was the rug. Guests were due by noon. The white sitting room carpet looked perfect until Rose accidentally spilled red wine right in the center. The dark stain spread like a wound. "Oh dear," she said flatly, glass still in hand. "Look what you made me do, Naomi." "I'm sorry, Ma," Naomi answered, already kneeling with the towel. "You should be. If that stain remains, you and your poverty broom can leave together." Naomi worked in tight circles, soaking, blotting, whispering, "For Deborah, for Deborah." After half an hour, the stain faded to a pale pink shadow. Rose stared at it for a long moment. "That's the best anyone has done," Mr. Femi said quietly from the doorway. Rose shot him a look. "The rug is ruined." Naomi's knees burned, but she rose slowly. "If you wish, Ma, I'll work on it again tonight, after everyone sleeps." Something flickered in Rose's eyes, irritation, and something dangerously close to respect. She looked away. "Do whatever you want. Just don't fail." That night, storms gathered above Banana Island. Rain hammered the tall windows. The mansion, usually humming with staff, grew strangely quiet. Naomi had just finished wringing out the last cloth when she passed the long hallway mirror and stopped. At the far end of the corridor, under the chandelier's soft glow, sat Madame Rose, on the marble floor, barefoot, her sequin dress crumpled, mascara streaking down her cheeks. In her hand, a half-empty wine glass shook, just a little. Naomi had never seen her like this, not a queen, not a monster, just a woman who looked like she'd forgotten how to breathe. Rose stared at her own reflection as if she hated the woman looking back. Naomi hesitated, heart pounding. This was dangerous ground. Slowly she stepped closer, removed the fresh white towel from her shoulder, and laid it beside Rose on the floor within reach. Without a word, she turned to leave. "Wait." Rose's voice was hoarse, stripped of its usual venom. Naomi stopped. "Why are you still here?" Rose asked, eyes fixed on the mirror. "After everything I've done to you, why haven't you run like the rest?" Naomi swallowed, choosing each word like glass from the floor. "Because, Ma," she said softly, "running won't heal my daughter. Staying might." For the first time, Madame Rose flinched, not from insult, but from truth. The house held its breath. Something had shifted, and neither of them knew yet just how far that small crack would spread. Naomi's answer hung in the hallway like incense. Light but lingering. "Staying might," she'd said. For a long moment, Madame Rose didn't move. Her fingers tightened around the wine glass. Then, slowly, she set it on the floor beside the towel Naomi had left. "Sit," she ordered. The sharpness was still there, but the power had drained out of it. Naomi hesitated, then lowered herself to the marble, leaving a respectful gap between them. I heard you have a sick child, Rose said, eyes fixed on the mirror. Yes, Ma. Deborah. She's 9. Heart condition. That's why you let me slap you. Naomi's cheek tingled at the memory. That's why I won't lose this job. Rose gave a short, bitter laugh. You think you're the first desperate woman to work for me? No, Ma, Naomi replied gently. But I might be the first who's not afraid of you anymore. Rose's head snapped toward her, anger flaring then dying as quickly as it rose. She looked tired, older than her makeup allowed. You should be afraid, she murmured. Everybody is. Even my husband pretends not to upset me. Naomi stayed quiet. Some silences invite confession. This was one. Rose picked at a loose thread on her dress. Do you know what they called me when I married Femi? Naomi shook her head. Trophy. Replacement. Gold digger. The poor girl who charmed the rich widower. Her voice hardened. His family said I could never be like his first wife. Polite whispers in church. Laughs behind my back. I decided if they wouldn't respect me, they'd fear me. She rubbed her forehead. It worked, but it never stopped her. Naomi's eyes softened. So you punished the people you could reach. Rose flinched, then nodded once, ashamed. I told myself if the house was perfect, if the staff were perfect, if I was perfect, maybe the whispers would stop. But they only got louder in my head. Naomi folded her hands in her lap. Pain that isn't healed looks for someone to land on, Ma. Rose swallowed. Does your daughter know you're here suffering like this? No, Naomi said. She only knows Mommy is working so she can get better. I don't want her to learn that power means hurting people. That struck deep. Rose looked away quickly, blinking fast. What hospital? She asked suddenly. Lagos State Teaching. Cardiac ward. Rose nodded slowly, as if making a decision with each breath. Tomorrow, take the day off. Go and see her. Naomi's head snapped up. Ma, Rose cleared her throat. There's an envelope on my dresser. Take it. For transport. Medication. She held up a finger. Argue, and I change my mind. Tears stung Naomi's eyes. She bowed her head. Thank you, Ma. Rose shifted on the cold marble. Don't thank me. I don't even know why I'm doing this. Naomi rose carefully. Maybe, she said softly, because you're tired of being the villain in a story that also hurts you. Their eyes met, two women on opposite sides of wealth, standing on the same ground of pain. For the first time since Naomi entered that mansion, Madame Rose didn't look like a cruel queen. She looked like a wounded human being, finally asking for a different ending. The next morning, the mansion felt slower, as if the walls themselves were listening. Naomi stood at the gate, fingers tied around a small white envelope. Inside lay neatly folded bills more than she had seen in months. Beside it, on expensive stationery, a short note in looping handwriting, for transport. For Deborah. Archie pressed the paper to her chest, whispered, "Thank you," to heaven, then stepped into the Lagos morning. The Danfo rides from Ikoi to Surulere were noisy and cramped, but Naomi barely felt the bumps. Her mind was already in the pediatric ward, white walls, faint antiseptic, the soft beep of machines. When she finally stepped into Deborah's room, the little girl's eyes lit up. Mommy. Naomi rushed forward, dropping her nylon bag, pulling her child into her arms as gently as if she were glass. My baby. See how you're shining, Naomi whispered, kissing her forehead. You smell like soap and stew. Deborah giggled weakly. Naomi laughed, tears stinging. That means Mommy is working, hum? They shared pap from a plastic bowl. Naomi told edited stories about the big house job. Not about slaps or spilled buckets, about the huge staircase, the shiny floors, the small dog that barked like it owned Banana Island. Will I come there one day? Deborah asked, eyes hopeful. One day, Naomi said, smoothing her hair. When your heart is strong, and you can run up all those stairs and make the house shake. Deborah smiled. For a moment, the hospital room felt bigger than sickness. Back on Bishop Adi Maid Drive, the staff were restless. She really went? Muse asked, leaning on his broom. Yes now, Amarank replied, stirring stew. Madam told her herself. Day off. And you sure Madam is not planning thunder when she comes back? The steward muttered. Mama shrugged. This house has changed small. I'm just watching. Upstairs, Rose stood by her window, robe tied loosely, phone pressed to her ear. Yes. Children's Heart Foundation, she said, pacing. I was at your luncheon last month. Yes. This is Mrs. Rose Richards. I have a staff whose daughter needs help. Serious help. Her voice softened, surprising even herself. She's not asking. That's the thing. She never asks. That's why I am. A pause. Then, yes, I can send the reports. Thank you, doctor. She hung up, exhaled long, and for once, her reflection in the glass didn't look like a stranger. By late afternoon, Naomi was back at the gate, face tired but lighter. Musa straightened. Auntie Naomi, welcome. Oh, how pikin'. She'd hold on. Naomi smiled. God day. Inside, the air felt different, less sharp. Naomi had barely tied her apron when her small phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Hello? Good afternoon. Is this Miss Naomi, mother of Deborah? Her heart jumped. Yes, Ma. This is she. This is Dr. Adesua from the Children's Heart Foundation. Mrs. Richards shared your daughter's file with us. We've reviewed it. Naomi gripped the counter. Yes, doctor. We would like to sponsor Deborah's next procedures fully. Surgery, medication, transport, everything. The room tilted. Naomi sank to her knees, palm over her mouth. Doctor, please, say it again. We're covering it all, Ma. Your daughter will get the care she needs. Tears spilled freely now. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Mama Ronk rushed in. Naomi, what didn't happen? Naomi looked up, laughing through tears. They're paying for Deborah's surgery. Everything. Madam Rose made it happen. For the first time since she came to that mansion. Naomi wept loudly, not from pain, from relief. The news spread through the mansion faster than gossip. They're paying for Deborah's surgery, Mama Ronk told the gardener, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. Nah so? He exclaimed, dropping his rake. God Don entered this house. Oh. Upstairs, Rose leaned on her balcony rail, listening to the distant echoes of joy. For once, the laughter in the compound did not annoy her. It humbled her. 2 weeks later, Naomi sat in the hospital corridor, hands clasped so tightly her knuckles were white. Deborah was behind double doors, under bright lights and sharp instruments. Madam, you can't stay here, a nurse said gently. Go and sit. Naomi shook her head. If I sit, my heart will stop. Let me stand. Her phone buzzed. Rose, we are praying here too. Call me the moment you hear from the doctor. Naomi stared at the message. Months ago, this same woman had slapped her over a perfume bottle. Now she was saying time moved like mud. Naomi paced, prayed, whispered songs under her breath. God, you have started it. Please finish it. Don't collect my only child. At last, the theater doors swung open. The doctor stepped out, mask hanging at his neck, eyes tired but kind. Madam Naomi? She ran forward. Yes, Sir Doctor, sir, he smiled. The surgery was successful. Her heart is stable. She will need rest and follow up. But the worst is over. Naomi's legs gave way. She knelt right there on the cold floor, tears spilling freely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Back at Bishop Adi Mayi Drive, Rose stood in front of the mirror, holding her phone. It rang. She answered quickly. Naomi? Ma. Naomi's voice broke on the other end. Deborah made it. Doctor said she's stable. Rose's shoulders slumped with relief. She didn't know she'd been holding. Good, she whispered. Good. Then louder. When she's strong enough, send me a picture. I want to see her smile. Yes, Ma, Naomi said. Still crying, Naomi? Yes, Ma. Thank you for letting me help. There was a small silence, soft and full. Thank you for help, Naomi replied. 3 days later, Naomi sat by Deborah's bed, feeding her soft pap. Mummy, my chest feels funny, Deborah said, touching the small scar. That's your warrior mark. Naomi smiled. Proof that you fought and won. A knock sounded on the open ward door. Naomi turned and froze. Ma? Rose stood there, out of place, among faded curtains and iron beds, in a simple gown and flat shoes. No heavy makeup, no sharp perfume, just a woman asked for permission to come in, Rose said quietly. May I? Naomi nodded quickly, standing. Deborah watched curiously. This is Madam, Naomi started. Rose cut in gently. I'm Auntie Rose today. She moved closer, eyes softening at the sight of the thin girl with bright eyes. You must be Deborah, she said. Your mother has been terrorizing my house with your name. Deborah giggled. Yes, Ma. Rose held out a small wrapped parcel. It's a storybook, she said, for when you're bored of hospital walls. Deborah took it carefully. Thank you, Auntie Rose. Rose's throat tightened at the title. Naomi watched, stunned. Later, in the corridor, Rose spoke without her usual armor. The day I slapped you, she said, eyes on the peeling wall. I was sure you'd run. I wanted you to. I couldn't stand anyone seeing how broken I was. Naomi listened. I was wrong, Rose whispered. About strength. About you. About a lot of things. She turned, meeting Naomi's eyes properly. I'm sorry. Naomi's eyes shone. Ma, people who say sorry are stronger than those who never bend. For the first time, Rose smiled without pride. Then maybe, she said slowly, this house still has hope. Naomi nodded. So long as we don't stop change inside. Lagos moved on traffic, shouting, life. But in that quiet hospital corridor, something shifted. Not Madam and Maid, two women, both scarred, both choosing healing, and far away. The mansion that once devoured maids was already waiting for the woman who would return to it, not just as a cleaner, but as its heart. Naomi stood outside the tall black gate of Bishop Adimei Drive, one hand holding her small nylon bag, the other wrapped firmly around Deborah's fingers. Mommy, this is where you work? Deborah whispered, eyes wide at the mansion. Naomi smiled. Yes, my baby. This is where God turned our tears to testimony. The gate slid open. Inside, something felt different. No tense silence. No hurried footsteps. Instead, soft laughter drifted from under the mango tree. Musa straightened. Auntie Naomi. Deborah. Una Dawn. Come. Deborah giggled at the balloons made from inflated gloves tied to the branches. A small table was set with juice, puff, and jollof rice. It looked less like a billionaire's compound and more like a family yard. Then Madame Rose stepped out. No heavy makeup, no angry eyes. Just a calm blue dress and a simple smile. Naomi, she said softly. Welcome home. Naomi bowed slightly. Thank you, Ma. Rose's gaze shifted to Deborah. You must be the brave girl I've been praying for. Deborah clung to her mother's wrapper, shy. Naomi nodded. Deborah, greet Auntie Rose. Good afternoon, Ma. Deborah whispered. Rose bent to her level, surprising everyone. Call me Auntie Rose, please, she said, handing the girl a wrapped book. Naomi said you love stories. I thought we could start this one together. Deborah's smile broke like sunrise. Thank you, Auntie Rose. Under the mango tree, Mr. Femi joined them, gray beard catching the light. Naomi, he said, voice warm and firm. You didn't just survive this house. You healed it. He handed her a folder. Naomi opened it with trembling hands. Head of household operations. Better salary. Private quarters. Ongoing medical support for Deborah. Sir, Ma. I don't know what to say, Naomi whispered. Madame Rose shook her head. You already said it with the way you stayed when everyone else ran. You cleaned more than floors, Naomi. You cleaned the fear out of this house. The staff clapped. Mama Ronk wiped her eyes with the edge of her wrapper. Musa shouted, 3 gosa for Auntie Naomi. And everyone laughed as Deborah hid her face in her mother's waist, grinning Dada as the sun lowered. Naomi sat under the mango tree, Deborah's head in her lap. Rose sat beside her, no distance, no pride. Just 2 women breathing the same, softer air. Ma, Naomi said quietly, the day you slapped me, I almost left. Rose winced. I know, but if I had, Naomi continued, we wouldn't be. Rose exhaled. Sometimes God sends us the right people in the ugliest moments. You were my mirror, Naomi. You showed me who I'd become. and who I could still be. Naomi smiled, eyes glistening. And you gave my daughter a second chance at life. I'll never forget that. Above them, the mansion windows caught the evening light. Once they'd reflected only cold marble and quiet anger. Now, they reflected something else: family, laughter, beginnings. Because one maid refused to answer cruelty with cruelty. She answered it with courage, patience, and the decision to stay. And that changed everything. If Naomi's courage and quiet strength touched your heart, let us know in the comments and tell us where in the world you're watching from. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel. Your support turns one woman's act of bravery into a movement of kindness and change.